Good afternoon. I hope you will understand my French. CellProthera, it's a French company, obviously, and we believe we are a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine. Is it green? Yes. Here we go. We've been founded in 2008. We've been founded after a very successful proof of concept clinical trial that was conducted from the year 2002 to 2006. We've been in this trial working on patients who were suffering for severe acute myocardial infarct. 7 of them were treated. 3 were supposed to have heart transplantation. We are now about 12 years later for the first patient and 8 on average. All of them are still alive. None of them got heart transplantation. They are taking only a few hundred euros or pounds, pesos, per month of medicine. And knowing that we had a therapy that was working, we developed the company, the commercial company, on 2 pillars. And I think it's very important, as it was mentioned earlier on this morning about manufacturing. We develop, obviously, this clinical aspect, going through all the preclinical and clinical, and we're currently in phase 1-2, enrolling patients. But we also develop the technology and the way to industrialize our therapy and to be able to disseminate it very rapidly so that we will be able to treat as many patients as possible. We're really a patient-oriented company and looking at ways to improve all we're doing, looking at the patient. So not only do we have a therapy that works, and I will show you some numbers afterwards, but also we have developed the technology and I will say a distribution channel to help disseminate this therapy very easily and rapidly and more especially economically. The market, severe AMI, obviously there's no cure. If you take, I will say the countries which have ways to reimburse correctly, taking the US, 7 largest European countries and Japan, we're talking about 1 million patients. We did a market access study, so we know we're talking about a multi-billion market, on which even if we do a few percentage market share, we will still be a blockbuster product. We will still have a blockbuster product and be over 1 billion. What we develop in terms of therapy is what we call ProtheraCytes, and we believe the indication we're in is severe AMI, and obviously to prevent secondary chronic heart failure and to be also an alternative to cardiac transplant. What it is, ProtheraCytes is classified by the EMA as an ATMP, FDA, MTMM. It's made of purified CD34 cells from peripheral blood. It's an autologous one-shot treatment. You don't need to come back. And its production is now industrialized with our third version of Automate, and it's a proprietary technology. We've got 5 patent families to support us. And obviously, it's a candidate blockbuster. The world premiere, as we call it, 7 patients, 3 awaiting cardiac transplant, more than 12 years follow-up. What's very important, after 24 months, an average improvement of left ventricular ejection fraction, 64%. I don't think I've seen anything like that. You can see here, on all the patients, they were all before injection at 35. First patient, obviously, I forgot to mention, we're treating recent AMI. We realized with the first patients who had an AMI 8 years before that there was nothing that we could do. Basically, we did it during a surgery and an open heart surgery, and when the surgeon tried to inject the cells, he couldn't. The infarct was calcified; it was not possible. All the others, were recent, from 6 to 24 weeks. And as you can see, shows tremendous percentage improvement in terms of point, but also percentage. So that's the result. It's nice also to see, as we're talking about regenerative medicine, some images, and these are coming from a PET scan. On the top, you see the images prior to the injection. You can see the infarct zone here. It's a dark zone. And 6 months after, with glucose fixation for the structural and muscular regeneration, you can see it here. And with the ammonium fixation, something that make it, sustainable is the vascular regeneration. And you can see this regeneration here. So that's really, something that we can claim, yes, we cure. Obviously, we developed something specific, with our process and our technology platform. Basically, here what you see is the automate we've developed. This is a clinical version. We've got a new commercial version coming in about a year from now, which will be able to produce 5 times more graft than we're doing right now. And this is our process. We use GCSF mobilization for patients, to move the stem cell from the bone marrow to the blood. We take a blood sample, a whole blood sample. We ship it to cell therapy centers. They use our device to do cells expansion. We inject about 50 to 100 million cells. And after we re-inject this graft, this ProtheraCyte, via an injection device directly into the infarct zone. It's a procedure that takes about 30 minutes for trained cardiologists. And we don't do it in ambulatory, but as mentioned before, we just have the patients to stay in the hospital one night, and then after they go home, and we never see them again. Our business model. Again, it's something that is quite specific. We're a biotech, but we're also some kind of a medtech, because we're going to sell the automates and we're going to sell the kit to produce the graft. And that's our business model. We don't want to produce it. We will rely on a network of CMC, or manufacturer, to do that. CTC, cell therapy centers, there's plenty. There are very good connections. They're very close to their patients. They have created usually an ecosystem where they have all the QC nearby. They have all the route, the transportation route, and all set up, with the hospitals. And as they're close, they're local regional hubs. You don't have all the logistic cost that is usually there with traditional autologous cell therapy centers. So it's really a win-win situation for us. We are kind of creating somehow what we call micro factories with these cell therapy centers, and obviously the revenue generators for her is the sale of the stem pack and the kits. Kits for us being again, the benefit is faster scale up at lower capital cost. We won't create huge manufacturing hubs. They're already there. We are going to use a capacity which is available. There's plenty. And even in some places that we didn't think initially. So there are a lot of possibilities there. Again, it's a faster cash collection, and it's a risk dilution for everyone. Our development strategy, obviously, is to industrialize the stem cell therapy, thanks to our stem expand device. Is to obtain marketing authorization, in both Europe, North America, and Asia, and to disseminate our therapeutic, through these regional hubs via large cell therapy centers, well connected into regions. So that's basically our what we've been doing so far. Created in 2008, we've done all the preclinical trial or preclinical work, until year 2014-15. And we've just entered a phase 1/2b with 44 patients, both in France and the UK. I think we've got also this capability, to actually validate cell therapy centers and production centers in a very effective ways in less than 3 months sometimes, which support obviously our business model. And we're going also to enter a pilot trial in Singapore early next year. Why Singapore? Because, as you know, Asia and Japan has passed some legislation that are very favorable for cell therapy product. What we can do is actually be commercial much earlier. We don't need to really do a phase 3. That's what Singapore is about for us, is to be commercial much earlier. So we expect that in 2018, 2019, we will enter a phase 3 in both Europe and North America. And obviously, we will start to be commercial in Asia, starting with Singapore. After, we will expect to have a European and North American launch right after in 2018 and 19 and 20. So Something quite important. We've developed this technology. It's actually we've decided to go for cardiovascular disease because this is obviously the largest market. You know, we're talking about multi-billion market, but our technology and the cells we've developed are able also to they're working with other organs, and they also are working in other indications. We're a very focused company, so we're right now focusing on cardiovascular and our technology platform, but once it's installed, this base will be installed, we'll move on to other indication and organs. And we've already started to do some preliminary work in some of them, but you know, it's really preliminary, so we won't talk about it. Why I'm here? Because we're sinking 25 million to finance our phase 3. We're financed for phase 1-2. We've finalized a first portion of this 25 million. It should be completed by next week, about 7 to 10 million of it. There's still the remaining to raise. So if you have, you know, if you want my, or not mine, but CellProthera bank wire instruction, indication or details, I can give them to you afterwards, or we can have a talk. What's basically the company is, as I mentioned, you know, it's really a company based on R&D, and we have a long historical background. I forgot to mention, but our founder, Philippe Hénon, is one of the first professor to have done bone marrow transplantation. He's a cell specialist, and we've inherited, you know, from his institute and all his research a lot, and he's really driving, you know, the program quite thoroughly into what we're doing right now. We've created an organization which is both clinical and industrial. We've got the two competencies built into the company, which is very rare, and that's why, you know, we believe that we're working on both legs. We've got this very innovative approach with this business model to use cell therapy centers. I think it's quite unique. All companies that we've know so far in cell therapies are kind of creating their own production facility. No, we want to use them. We want to be as close as possible to patient. And for autologous products, I think it's very, very important that we are close to the patients from an economic standpoint. And obviously, you know, we are working on this first with ProtheraCytes on this first blockbuster medicine ATMP candidate. We've been going under the radar for quite a lot as we're getting, you know, closer to with our phase 2 trial to be commercial. You know, in Singapore, I think it's time for us to get out. So here I am and the company, and we see ourselves as an hidden gem somehow. So again, you know, I'm here to raise funds, so I'm available, you know, to discuss after this presentation. Thank you for your attention.